One podcast appearance can do more for your music career than months of random posts online. That's why I built the Podcast Flywheel Playbook, a boring but effective 3-step system that grows your artist brand. Podcast Flywheel Playbook: How to Build Your Brand with Podcasts. And here you can look at the agenda, basically everything that we're going to be covering. And by the end of this video, you're going to know how to use other people's platforms to grow your artist brand. Starting off, I'll give you a little bit of context. Number one, why podcasts work. Podcasters are always looking for new guests for their show. Smaller podcasts will be less in demand and easier to book. So if these people are already doing the legwork to find a guest every single week for their show, they're already trying to find people that they're actually interested in and that they want to have meaningful conversations with, why not help them out? Why not go ahead and bridge that gap and use that as your opening? As your audience grows, you can start reaching out to bigger shows. That means any artist can use this playbook no matter what fan base size you have. Podcasts cover a broad variety of topics. If you could think of it, there's probably a podcast about it. To be clear, you're not begging for handouts. You'll be offering real value to podcasters so they actually want to say yes. And I can't stress that part enough. Don't feel like this is some sort of sales pitch. Don't feel like you're out here begging to get on their show. You're not. You really are giving them a benefit. They really do have to deal with the hassle of finding a guest every single week. People that run their own shows, yeah, they like doing the podcast. They like having the conversations. But do you think they like doing the legwork of finding somebody every single week to talk to? That's why I guess once they get to a certain level, podcasters tend to hire somebody for that role. They hire somebody to make sure that they have a guest lined up for every single week. So right now, while you're starting off, like I said, you're reaching out to people that are a similar audience size as you. If you have 5,000 followers, reach out to podcasts that have 5,000 followers or less. But it's not just followers. If you get like 1,000 views per video on average, reach out to people that are getting similar amount of views. So while you're reaching out to them, you are giving them a benefit. Hey, this is work you don't have to do. You can go ahead and do your homework, look into me, see what type of person I am, make sure that I do fit your podcast. But if I do, well, you don't have to worry about finding a guest for next week or the week after, whatever day you decide to schedule. Value offer number one, find a guest for their podcast. You. Value offer number two, promote their show to your audience. They get content, you get content. Win-win. Number two, the purpose. There are 4 goals when using this playbook. Goal number 1, brand awareness. How? By networking with podcasters, getting in front of their audience, and stepping outside your niche. Goal number 2, build deeper connections with your audience. How? By using podcasts to show more of who you are as a person. Goal number 3, extra content. How? Every podcast you're on is more content associated with your brand. Goal number 4, create a flywheel that grows by feeding itself. How? That's what I'll spend the rest of this video showing you how to do. Number 3, appearance versus interview. Treat each podcast appearance as a guest appearance, not an interview. You're not there to be interviewed about your life story, unless you specifically reach out to podcasts that interview artists. You're there to have a conversation about common interests you have, not for the episode to be all about you. Offering your perspective on different topics will be a lot more valuable to both you and their podcast. You can still talk about yourself, just let it happen naturally. And like I said, you could reach out to shows that do specifically interview music artists, but for the most part, you're going to be looking for podcasts that you could just have conversations with people. So next up on the agenda, we have the playbook. Number 1, search. Manually search for active podcasts that align with your interests. Number 2, schedule. Reach out to the podcast and schedule when to come on the show. 3, share. Share clips of each podcast episode to expand your reach. 4, repeat. Repeat the process to stack social proof and build your artist brand. If it helps to have something to follow along with, or if you want to save this for later, I've made this playbook 100% free for you to download at indieleverage.com/flywheel. Next up on the agenda, we got what you need. Number 1, virtual versus in-person. Appearing on a podcast in person will usually look better and feel more professional. However, doing podcasts virtually will scale a lot faster. You could easily do multiple podcasts in a day if you wanted to, while also avoiding travel expenses. Doing podcasts in person does have another advantage. The only thing you need to bring is yourself. With virtual podcasts, a bit of a setup is required. So if you already are kind of tech savvy or whatever, you know how to work around with the camera and set it up with your computer. You don't have to have anything fancy. You can just use your phone and some AirPods or something like that. I would advise for you to at least try to get better audio. Use AirPods or headphones of some sort. Don't just try to have it where you're using the microphone built into your phone.
Spending hours mixing your vocals and still not getting the sound you want? Whether you're recording a new song or a new podcast, drag and drop recording templates by indieleverage make it easy to start with a great sound. Available for Logic Pro and Pro Tools, each template comes pre-configured with routing, vocal chains, and plugin settings built using professional plugins from Waves Audio. Just load the template, record your vocals, and start with a professional sounding mix immediately. Choose between the perfect rap vocals template or the perfect podcast vocals template. Download them today for just $2.99 at indieleverage.com/templates.
You don't need anything more than your phone, but if you want to upgrade to a better camera, feel free to do that too. You don't need any setup at all for like a virtual setup as far as like a background or anything like that, but feel free to add that as you go along. It's one of those things that you can add on to piece by piece and bit by bit. Number 2, setup. For a virtual podcast, you can technically get away with using just your phone and a pair of headphones. Upgrading your setup will be beneficial for you in 2 ways. Benefit 1, you will sound and look better in podcast appearances. Benefit 2, podcasters will be more likely to have you on their show if you have a more professional setup. This potentially means using a microphone, using a camera instead of your phone, getting some lighting, or decorating the space where you record. But please, by no means, feel like you need to have it all set up at once. Don't feel like you need to have it all set up in order for you to run a playbook like this. You don't. This is literally just one Lego piece at a time. Eventually, you're going to have a finished set, and you're going to have something that you're proud of, and then eventually you're going to get tired of it, and you're going to want to redo it and make it even better. It's just the journey. If you feel like you need to be perfect to start, you're never going to start. Nobody's ever going to be perfect. That's kind of why it's an infinite game. So just get started. Virtual podcasts will allow you to get on a lot more podcasts in the long run at the cost of a little more setup in the beginning. That being said, if you have an opportunity to appear on a podcast in person because they happen to be close to you, then you should take it. Obviously, if you live in one of those cities where there's a whole bunch of different podcast setups, there's podcasters everywhere. Like if you're in a big city like Atlanta, LA, New York, something like that, you have a higher likelihood of being able to appear in person. But if you're constantly traveling, trying to get on all these different podcasts, yes, you are paying for all that, but it's also the time. Like I said earlier, you can get on multiple virtual podcasts in one single day. Up next on the agenda, we have brand assessment. Fill out a brand assessment to make it easier to search for personalized podcast leads. You can get yours along with the entire playbook for free at indieleverage.com/flywheel. Number 1, select your categories. Look at every podcast category and subcategory on Spotify and select which ones you would appear on. And you don't have to limit yourself to only the categories that Spotify provides. Obviously, there's probably a whole bunch of niche subcategories that aren't even listed on Spotify. So use your imagination as well, use your interest as well. But if you aren't able to get your gears turning and you aren't able to think of the different categories on podcasts, well, going to look at Spotify is like a little bit of a shortcut. And here you can see them all listed out. The main categories that you see, I'm not going to list out all the subcategories, but you have arts, business, comedy, education, fiction, government, history, health and fitness, kids and family, leisure, music, news, religion and spirituality, science, society and culture, and obviously a whole bunch of other subcategories that exist under each of those. But just to finish it off, we have sports, technology, true crime, and TV and film. Number 2, use your interests. List out as many of your interests that you can think of. These can be hobbies, beliefs, or anything else that you would consider an interest. To have everything in one place, this is included in the brand assessment that you can get for free at indieleverage.com/flywheel. Number 3, red flags. Finding podcasts that match your interests and your brand is almost as important as avoiding podcasts that don't. The point isn't just to book as many podcasts as possible. The goal is to book as many of the right podcasts as possible. When you selected the podcast categories you would appear on, you probably noticed multiple categories you would not appear on. List out any topics you would avoid or anything that you would consider a red flag and would not want associated with your brand. An example, let's say you don't want to appear on any shows that talk about politics. Politics to you, it's just boring. I don't want that associated with my music artist brand. That's fine. You just list that down on your red flags. You will use your brand assessment once you start implementing the steps in the next section of the playbook. And now we've moved on to the next section in our agenda, search, starting with the platform. Number 1, why YouTube? YouTube is the easiest platform to search for active podcasts. YouTube also makes it easy to find lesser known podcasts. And it's just honestly their search feature. The fact that you're able to be so specific with your searches and you can filter out exactly what you want to find, it just makes it the easiest way. Number 2, don't use AI. Using AI to search for podcasts was the first thing I tried. To my surprise, instead of speeding up the process, it made it slower and less accurate. One day, AI will likely be able to efficiently find podcast leads, but sadly, that day is not today. Even though it's a boring process, it truly is more effective to manually search for podcast leads. Pro tip: breakthroughs in AI happen very often. AI is currently not the most efficient way to find podcast leads, but one day it will be. Be ready when it does. And when I say they happen very often, I mean daily. I mean, just as I said you can't use AI to do it, full disclosure, that could be being debunked right now as we speak. So continue to check in on it. There's all these different agents and shit like that. One day it will be so much easier to just get an AI agent to just go find you podcast leads that fit your criteria perfectly. But until then, we're just going to have to do the human thing and do it a little bit manual. Next up on our agenda, we have using filters. Number 1, purpose. Using YouTube search filters help you narrow down the videos you're shown while searching for podcast leads. Number 2, filter settings. Go to the search filters on YouTube and change the search filter settings. To save you time, you can get these search filter settings with the playbook for absolutely free at indieleverage.com/flywheel. But for now, you could just follow along with the filter settings as I go through them. Starting off with sort by, upload date, type, video, upload date, this month, duration, 20 minutes, features, leave blank. And full disclosure, I'll play around with the upload date settings. I don't just leave it at this month, just because from what I've noticed, when you're actually searching through trying to find shows, when you have this month, depending on what you're searching, there is just like a flood of different videos that are getting hundreds of thousands or millions of views, and it just makes it hard. It makes it like you're just searching for a needle in the haystack, constantly scrolling, looking for podcasts or shows that match your criteria. So to make it a little bit easier for you, you can change it to this week. The only downfalls that I've noticed from that is then you obviously get less results. So it's kind of a balance between both. Play around with it yourself and figure out what works for you. Up next on the agenda, we have using keywords. Number 1, brand assessment keywords. Use your brand assessment for keywords while searching for podcast leads. You can search vague categories that you selected, or you can search specific interests that you listed. Pro tip: you will get different search results by combining keywords. Example: category, podcast, or comedy podcast. Example: podcast about interests, or podcast about pickleball. Example: category, podcast about interests, or comedy podcast about pickleball. Each of these examples would give you different search results. Searching with category keywords alone will generally have broader search results. Searching with interest keywords alone will generally have more narrow search results. Searching with category and interest keywords together will generally have very specific search results. And again, just full disclosure, when putting this into practice, what I've noticed is I get creative with it. I'll think of a whole bunch of different keywords. I'll start off with my brand assessment keywords, but then I expand from there. It'll kind of help me go down a rabbit hole and think of other words that are similar, because it's crazy how just a little difference in search terms, you'll get very different results. So up next on the agenda, we have qualified leads. Number one, choose your ranges. Decide what size podcast you want to reach out to. Use their average views and subscriber count as a guide. I recommend you choose podcasts with a similar or slightly larger audience size as yours. Example, podcasts with 5,000 views or less with a subscriber count of 2,000 or less. This will help you filter out podcasts that aren't in your target range. Number two, avoid audio only. To get the most out of this playbook, it's better to reach out to podcasts that drop video episodes. It doesn't necessarily hurt to appear on audio-only podcasts, but video podcasts give you a better ROI for your time. Number three, brand fit. You probably shouldn't reach out to any and every podcast just because they match what you were looking for. The goal is to find podcasts that you actually want to be a guest on. Go through the channel to see what else they talk about in their podcast to make sure you would want to associate your brand with theirs. Spending a little time up front to vet each lead for brand fit gives you peace of mind and the opportunity to learn more about each lead. And if you want to speed up the process, by no means am I saying that you should be watching their podcast episodes in their entirety. Hopefully they have some clips or they have some shorts on their channel that you can watch, and that'll help you vet these leads a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently. Up next on the agenda, we have tracking leads. Number one, using a spreadsheet. Once you start finding qualified leads, you'll need a place to put them to stay organized. Instead of reaching out to podcast leads one at a time, putting them in a spreadsheet allows you to focus entirely on finding qualified leads. Number two, what to track. What to track in your spreadsheet. Podcast name, outreach status, podcast host or hosts, YouTube link, email, social media, preferred contact, and relevant notes. It should look something like this. To save yourself some time, you can download the lead tracker template for free at indieleverage.com/flywheel. Up next on the agenda, we have outreach. Number one, giving value. Start with the value you're offering when reaching out to podcast leads. Put yourself in their shoes and think, what's in it for me? And like I said in the beginning, you're not begging. You're not asking for handouts for you to get on their show. No, that's not what this is. That's why you're reaching out to people at your level, or maybe even a little bit lower or a little bit higher. This is supposed to be kind of a peer-to-peer thing, a mutual beneficial type of thing. So as long as you keep that in mind when you're reaching out to these people, you should be good. Number two, do's and do nots. Do, offer real value. Do, make an effort to personalize each message. Do not, treat this like an interview. Do not take anything personal. Do not forget to check your email or DMs. Do not come across like you're selling something, because you're not. Number three, the formula. Each message you send to leads will be personalized and slightly different. You can play around with the words you use to match your tone and see what gets you the best results. Taking the words out of it, your messages will consist of 3 sections. Section 1, how you found them, plus personal compliment. Section 2, introduction plus value offer. Section 3, easy yes close. Pro tip, use the notes section in your lead tracker for personal compliments needed in Section 1 of the outreach formula. This will save you time when writing each message. What I call the easy yes close is a powerful closing technique that softens the big ask by presenting a small ask. And I know that might sound like it's complicated, but I promise you, you probably see it every single day. Example, ordinary close. You walk into your favorite fast food restaurant to get a sandwich. You, I'd like 1 sandwich, please. Them, no problem. And would you like to make that a meal? You, yeah, that's fine. Them, would you like to make that a medium or large? You, I'll take a medium. Example, easy yes close. You walk into your favorite fast food restaurant to get a sandwich. You, I'd like 1 sandwich, please. Them. No problem. And would you like to make your meal a medium or large? You. I'll take a medium. Both examples resulted in the same outcome, but using the easy yes close made the bigger ask, the meal upsell, seem like a natural choice when presented the smaller ask, the meal size. Now I'll show you how to put this formula into action for reaching out to podcast leads. Number 4, email. Email is my preferred method for reaching out to podcast leads. More on that later. Example email template. Subject line, can I share? Podcast name. YouTube recommended the episode you just released about topic, and I thought it personal compliment. By the way, I'm artist name, a music artist and podcaster, and I think my audience would love your show. We talk about a lot of similar topics, so I think both of our audiences would enjoy our conversation if I came on, podcast name, as a guest. I'll also make short clips so that I can share it to more people on socials. The only potential issue is that we'd have to record it virtually. Will that work for you? Email signature. You can copy that email, or to save it for later, you can download that exact email template for absolutely free at indieleverage.com/flywheel. There are 3 reasons why I prefer reaching out to podcast leads through email. Reason 1, email gives your message an extra opportunity to stand out with the subject line. Reason 2, unless they follow you first, a DM will end up in someone's message request. Sending a message through email will go straight to their inbox. Reason 3, email allows you to include a signature that you can use to link to other things right there in the message. More on that later. Sometimes you may not be able to find their email, or they may make it clear that they prefer to be reached out to on social media. Number 5, DMs. Reaching out through DMs can be beneficial to you if you already have a large following on the platform you're using. A large following with content that gets high engagement would serve as more social proof. This works even if you don't have millions of followers. If a podcast lead has 1,000 followers and you have 10,000 followers, you have an audience size 10 times as large as theirs. Use that as leverage. When reaching out through DMs, you can follow the same outreach formula and even write a similar message that's slightly shorter. Example DM template. YouTube recommended the episode you just released about topic, and I thought it personal compliment. That's section 1. How you found them, plus personal compliment. By the way, I'm artist name, a music artist and podcaster, and I think my audience would love your show. I think both of our audiences would enjoy our conversation if I came on, podcast name, as a guest. I also make short clips so that I can share it to more people on socials. That's section 2, introduction plus value offer. And the last section, section 3, the easy yes close, the only potential issue is that we'd have to record it virtually. Will that work for you? Instead of saying, hey, is it cool if I come on your show? It's going ahead and introducing a potential problem, which hopefully is not an issue whatsoever, but assuming that the answer is going to be yes. Like, let's go ahead and put the answer, tucked off to the side. We already know, it's a win-win. I might as well go ahead and consider it a yes, I'm coming on your show, but we do have a problem. I want to do it virtually. Is that okay? Well, yeah, we could do it virtually. There's no problem. And by saying yes to a virtual podcast, they automatically say yes to having you on their show. The asking if a virtual podcast is okay is asking what size meal. Asking to get on their show, well, that's kind of like asking for the meal upsell in general. So making it more of an easy transition, something where they don't feel like they're so on the spot. It's just something that I personally would recommend, but I also recommend that you tweak this. You figure out what words work best for you. Figure out what type of style works best for you. You can copy that message, or to save it for later, you can download that exact DM template for free at indieleverage.com/flywheel. Number 6, follow up. After you've reached out to your leads, you'll want to give them time to respond. Once you start getting responses, you can start scheduling when to record your episodes with the people that say yes. Some will say yes, some will say no, and some of your podcast leads won't reply at all. Maybe they're not interested. Maybe they're busy or forgot to reply. Either way, if they haven't told you no or to stop messaging them, a friendly follow-up won't hurt. And the key word there is friendly. Earlier, I went through the do's and do nots, and I said do not take things personally. If somebody doesn't respond to you or reply within a certain amount of time, Don't get offended. Don't take that personally. People are busy. People have things that they have going on, and we are not the center of anybody else's universe. Wait 3 to 6 weeks before following up with non responders. This is ideally enough time for them to have new podcast episodes released. For emails, find the email you originally sent them and reply there so you can send them a new message in the same email thread. Example follow up template email. The subject line will stay the same just because you're using the same email thread. Hey, I just watched your new episode about topic and it personal compliment. I thought I'd follow up with you to let you know that my offer still stands. I'd love to come on as a guest on podcast name and share it with my audience. Let me know if you're interested and we'll set something up. Email signature. For DMs, don't leave comments like check DMs on their content to avoid sounding like a bot or like you're selling something. And we all know those type of comments that I'm talking about. Don't do that. Don't go on their profile and be like, hey bro, I sent you a message. Hit me back. I mean, if you want the quickest way for me to never message you back, and maybe it's just me, but for this, can we be a little bit more professional? Can we respect their time a little bit more? Again, we are not the center of anybody's universe here. Example follow-up template, DMs. Hey, I just watched your new episode about topic and it personal compliment. I'd love to come on as a guest on podcast name and share it with my audience. Let me know if you're interested and we'll set something up. You can download both follow-up templates for free by going to indieleverage.com/flywheel. You could repeat this process if they still don't respond, but at a certain point, you have to cut your losses and get more leads. And you might be the type of person that just doesn't want to quit. You don't want to take no for an answer. You got it. This is the perfect show. If only they knew. If only they saw my message. Like, are they not getting it? Are they not understanding that this would be the perfect collaboration? If you're one of those people where it's hard to let go, it's okay. There's more shows out there. You don't have to hold on to these. And yeah, you might have done some legwork and spent some time making sure that these were the perfect shows, but you just got to move on. You don't want to continuously message the same people because at a certain point, you're wasting your time and you're only fooling yourself. Now, up next on the agenda, we've moved on to the share section. Up first, clips. Number 1, download the video. To finish the rest of the flywheel, you'll need to repurpose each podcast so you can share it with more people. To make this easier for podcast hosts, you won't be asking them to send you the final videos. Instead, you'll download them yourself. There are too many YouTube downloaders to list, and so many stop working all the time. Find one that can download the videos in as high a quality as possible. Once you've downloaded a video, you can bring it into a video editor to start getting your clips. There are multiple video editing programs to choose from that range from free to paid. For what you'll be doing, you'll only need very basic video editing skills that even a beginner could learn in less than 20 minutes. Number 2, short form clips. The first clips you'll pull from podcast episodes are short form clips that you can post on different social media platforms. Pull as many quality clips between 5 to 60 seconds that stand on their own as you can. Pro tip. Remove long pauses or filler words to improve your clip's engagement and watch time. Pro tip. Save time on captions by using the auto caption feature on each platform you post on. Number 3, long form clips. The next set of clips you'll pull from podcast episodes are long form clips that you can post on your YouTube channel. Pull as many quality clips between 5 to 20 minutes that stand on their own as you can. And I know some people are weird about that. They don't want to post clips on their main channel. So by all means, create a clips channel or some sort of side YouTube channel that you can post your clips onto. These will be individual videos on your YouTube channel that will each need engaging titles and thumbnails. Pro tip. Don't spend time pulling long form clips just to rush through creating your title and thumbnail. Take your time and your future self will thank you. Number 4, reshares. Similar to long form clips, reshares are pulled from podcast episodes and posted on your YouTube channel. Unlike long form clips, reshares don't focus on specific topics. Instead, they're broken up into 2 sections. Cut each podcast roughly in half and post each part as its own video. Example title. Your engaging title goes here, dash, part 1, in parentheses, podcast name reshare. Pro tip. Try not to double post a reshare as a long form clip. Depending on your clips, you could accidentally post a long form clip that's essentially the same as a reshare video. And with these reshares, you probably won't want to post them if you're using the collaboration feature on YouTube, where the podcast episode features on both their profile and your profile. So if you're using that, which some people are using it, some people aren't, they're going to have to manually send you a link and you'll have to approve it. So if they push for that, cool. If not, don't worry about it. You can do the reshares. But if you do end up using that feature, I personally wouldn't put the reshare videos up on your main channel or your clips channel, wherever you decide to post it, just because, it's kind of like audience fatigue. You're just posting the same thing over and over. The next section, number 5, compilation videos. The last set of clips you'll create will be compilation videos for your YouTube channel by using multiple podcast appearances. Once you've been on enough podcasts, create different compilation video themes that you can use to stitch together videos. Just like with long-form clips, your compilation videos will need engaging titles and thumbnails. Example, you talk about the same topic on 5 different podcasts, so you stitch together those sections from each episode. Example title, my unfiltered thoughts on topic in blank minutes. Example, you stitch together your favorite podcast appearances of the month. Example title, best podcast highlights of the month, parentheses, month-year. Example, you stitch together your favorite podcast appearances of the year. Example title, my top podcast moments of year. Example, you stitch together goofy moments you've had on several podcasts. Example title, being completely unhinged on blank different podcasts. Pro tip, recording transition scenes between clips can help make your compilation videos more smooth and engaging. Number 6, crossover episodes. Post even more content by sharing clips as episodes on a new or existing podcast. Pro tip, try having a more curated selection when choosing what to add to your podcast. Personal preference. Reshares and compilation videos are the best formats for crossover episodes. And just as a side note, by no means do I want you to feel obligated to doing all of these, especially as you start appearing on more and more shows. These are just different options or tools that you have at your disposal, different things that you can throw out. At the end of the day, you're the person that has to be the tastemaker for your own channel. Up next on the agenda, we have social proof. Number 1, commenting. Every time a podcast episode gets released, go to the YouTube video and leave a comment thanking them for having you on the show. This comment serves 2 purposes. Purpose 1, show appreciation for being on the show and that you enjoyed your conversation with them. Purpose 2, provide easy access for interested viewers to discover your channel. Pro tip, don't directly promote anything in your comment. Example comment, thanks for having me on the show. I truly enjoyed our conversation. Number 2, reposting. Every time a podcast episode gets released, repost the full episode as a post in your YouTube community tab. Write a quick caption about the episode and then paste the link directly into the post. YouTube will automatically repost the video with your community post. And here's an example of what that would look like. Number 3, posting on socials. Every time a podcast episode gets released, share it to other social media platforms that you're active on. Pro tip, sharing it as a story on Instagram is low effort and allows you to link to the video directly in your story. Pro tip, tag the podcast when sharing the episode on social media. You promote their podcast either way, but this way you can over-deliver on your promise. Number 4, labeling. Labeling promotes and gives credit to the original podcast while also giving you social proof. Add a small watermark labeling the original podcast every time you post long-form clips or compilation videos. Examples, featured on, podcast name, full episode on, podcast name, clip from, podcast name, scene from, podcast name, originally from, podcast name. And here's an example of what that would look like. Labeling gives your brand social proof by openly showing that you're being featured on multiple podcasts. Reshares use a similar labeling strategy. Instead of using a watermark, the podcast gets labeled in the title. And up next on the agenda and last in the share section, we have promote your music. Number 1, using your music. Use the sound feature native on each platform to use your music as background music in short form clips. Pro tip, don't make your music too loud. Try to make it low enough where it doesn't interfere with the audio from the clip. Pro tip, it's easier with YouTube Shorts to use videos saved from TikTok with the sound and captions already embedded into it. Number 2, Ad placements. Sponsor your own videos with ad placements that promote your music. You can make your ads as simple or complex as you want them to be. Pro tip: you can use AI voices to read your ad placements for free. Example: this video is sponsored by song name by artist name, now streaming on all platforms. Song preview starts and fades out. Pro tip: pair song previews with the video for a better viewer experience. Use ad placements on long form clips, compilation videos, and reshare videos. Pro tip: keep your ads between 15 to 60 seconds for a better viewer experience. Number 3, end screens. End screens are a feature on YouTube that lets you add a clickable element that appears during the last 5 to 20 seconds of a video to promote other videos and playlists. Use this feature to promote your music at the end of every long-form clip, compilation video, and reshare video. The people that stay to the end of your videos are typically your most engaged viewers. Pro tip: if you promoted a song in your video using an ad placement, then place that same song as an end screen. Up next on the agenda, and the last section, we have repeat, grow the flywheel. Number 1, stacking proof. Once you've gone through the 3 steps of the playbook, the next thing you'll do is repeat the process for compounding growth. On top of repeating the 3 steps, there are plenty of other ways to grow your flywheel. An easy to understand example is growing your audience size on social media platforms. The larger your audience size, the larger the podcast you appear on, the more your brand's audience size continues to grow. The goal is to get your podcast flywheel spinning so fast that it maintains enough momentum to continue to spin and grow on its own. Growing your artist brand and audience size is the long-term play, but using other strategies to grow your flywheel will help you get there even faster. Instead of waiting for one big win, stack up a bunch of small wins to grow your flywheel along the way. Every podcast you get on serves as more social proof for the next podcast. It may not feel very impressive to say, I've been on this other podcast that got 1,000 views, but do that 100 times and you can frame it as, I've been featured in over 100 podcasts with over 100,000 plus views. Which sounds more impressive to you? Stacking proof is important because the more you can make podcast hosts feel like they're not taking a bet on you by bringing you on their show, the more podcasts you'll be able to book. Pro tip: when adding up total views, include the views you get on long-form clips, compilation videos, and reshares, not short-form clips. The more proof you stack, the more you can level up in terms of the size and popularity of the podcast you reach out to. Once you've started stacking proof, you'll need a way to present it to podcast leads. This can be as simple as you directly mentioning it to leads in your messages. Pro tip: go the extra mile and present your stack proof on a one-page section on your website. Using a page on your website to present your stack proof allows you to include more information all in one place while also appearing more professional to podcast leads. It automatically answers the question, does this person take podcasting seriously? The layout of your page will be based on your preferences, but here are 5 things you can include. Number 1, number of podcasts you've appeared on. Number 2, number of total views on podcasts that you've appeared on. Number 3, embedded YouTube videos of top performing podcasts you've appeared on. Number 4, positive comments on podcasts you've appeared on that serve as testimonials. Example: great guest, I'm so glad I clicked on this video. Number 5, list of some or all of the podcasts you've appeared on. Earlier I mentioned how you can use an email signature to link to other things. This is where you can link to the page on your website for podcast leads that want more information. Example email signature: artist name, underneath, music, which links directly to your music, and as seen on, which links directly to your stack proof. Example email template with stack proof. Subject line: can I share podcast name? YouTube recommended the episode you just released about topic, and I thought it personal compliment. By the way, I'm artist name, a music artist and podcaster, and I think both of our audiences would enjoy our conversation if I came on podcast name as a guest. I've been featured in over rounded number of appearances, podcasts with estimated total views plus views, and I think doing an episode together would help us both get more exposure. I also make short clips so that I can share it to more people on socials. The only potential issue is that we'd have to record it virtually. Would that work for you? Email signature. Example DM template with stack proof. YouTube recommended the episode you just released about topic, and I thought it personal compliment. By the way, I'm artist name, a music artist and podcaster, and I think both of our audiences would enjoy our conversation if I came on podcast name as a guest. I've been featured in over rounded number of appearances, podcasts with estimated total views plus views, and I think doing an episode together would help us both get more exposure. I also make short clips so that I can share it to more people on socials. The only potential issue is that we'd have to record it virtually. Will that work for you? You can copy those outreach templates, or to save it for later, you can download them for free at indieleverage.com/flywheel. Number 2, podcast guest requests. As you start appearing on more podcasts, you may notice more people reaching out to you asking for you to be a guest on their podcast. Direct people interested in having you on their show to a form that they can fill out. This could be a custom form on your website or even a form you make for free with Google Forms. What you include in your guest request form isn't as important as the fact that you actually have an application process in place. However, if examples make your life easier, then here are some things that you can include in your form. Podcast name, first and last name, email, social media, podcast description. Will this be virtual or in person? Do you agree that artist name can use the podcast footage on their social media? If you use your website, you can link to your podcast guest request form on your stacking proof page. Pro tip, vet the podcasts that fill out your guest request form the same way you vet podcast leads you find manually. Regardless of where they come from, you will always want to make sure you're willing to associate your brand with theirs. Number 3, summary. Now that we've gone deep on every section of the playbook, let's zoom out and put everything together. First, you learn how to find podcast leads on YouTube using search filters and your brand assessment keywords. Next, you learn how to track podcast leads in a spreadsheet and how to effectively reach out to them and book podcast appearances. Then you learn how to creatively repurpose each podcast you appear on into multiple pieces of content to share across multiple platforms. Finally, you learn how to stack each podcast appearance as social proof to get on even bigger podcasts in the future. Your brand is much more than just your music. Use the Podcast Flywheel Playbook to break into any niche and grow your artist brand. Download the Podcast Flywheel Playbook for free at indieleverage.com/flywheel. And that's how to build your brand with podcasts using the Podcast Flywheel Playbook. Thank you.